Welcome to the Seller Roundtable e-commerce coaching and business strategies with Andy Arnott and Amy Wees.
We used to call them. We used to call flip-flops thongs when I was a kid. So I'm
really?
like familiar with that term. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't.
But yeah. I guess that was before thongs. Thong underwear became like, totally popularized and so many songs written about it and all that. So
right. Well, yeah. I've been told like it's Australian slang because like, I've never heard anybody in the States call them thongs. So
yeah, we did when we were kids. They were either get your thongs or get your flip-flops, whatever it was. But
right.
But yeah, there's so many cool words. Like one of my clients, she was talking about a beer bottle and she was like, yeah, it's a stubby. And I was like, oh, excuse me, a what? And she's like, a stubby. And I'm like, what's a stubby? That doesn't sound, and she showed me, it looks like kind of like a short beer bottle, but I guess even the beer bottle shapes are different. So they have different words for them.
Right.
It's cool. You have to know, the listing I was writing today was for Australia. And so, I definitely look things up. I was writing about occasions. And so I reached out to my client and I said, do you guys call them baby showers there? Do you call them bridal showers? Or there's certain things that people don't celebrate, like Thanksgiving is only really celebrated. So it's like, you do have to study the culture a little bit to do your best at selling your product. So speaking of Brexit, I did a little talk with Shelley Simon about this, about what was going on with Brexit. So it used to be, you guys, when you would expand internationally, you would set up an account in the UK because that's where Amazon distributed all of their products for pan-European accounts. So you were able to ship just your product. You'd open up a UK account, you'd pay your VAT in the UK, and then you would ship your products all over all the European marketplaces, or Amazon would ship them for you. Well, now that Brexit is happening, right? What has happened is, if you're selling in the UK, you can only it's separate now. You're not going to be able to just have your inventory automatically shipped to the other marketplaces. They're separate. So now if you want to also sell in Germany and the UK, you have to have a bank account and stuff like that outside of the UK because they left the European Union. So it's really, I don't know all the details and I'm probably saying some things wrong, but I know the gist of it was that. So what are you seeing in terms of international expansion? What is the biggest marketplace that people are flooding to right now?
So Germany is definitely still number one. So everybody wants to go to Germany and France. This has always been like that. But for instance, what I've noticed this year is that Spain and Italy have increased so much. They've increased by 14%. And that's a lot. When compared to Germany increased only 8%. It's still number one. But I think that people in Spain and Italy kind of just went online completely. I don't think that they had this online culture in that extent, which people in Germany had. And I just think that now when we get an inquiry, people want to do Spain and Italy, or people who only did Germany, they are saying, let's do Spain, Italy, and France now. So they really want to go there. When you compare that with the last year, you would never get a request for Spain and Italy only or that. It will be always UK, Germany, France, and they'll be it. And maybe if you have a good product, you want to go to Spain and Italy. But what I've also noticed is that a lot of people really want to start selling in Sweden. That's crazy amount. And I'm talking about,
I didn't even know there was an Amazon Sweden.
Yeah, that was launched about a month ago. And so we have the Netherlands as kind of newish marketplace that was launched last year, but there was no PPC for it. So people they did translations for the marketplace, but they were not getting any sales because PPC was not rolled out yet. So that's kind of a really big miss there. And then they rolled out PPC a couple of weeks ago, and people started getting some sales. Nothing spectacular, but they're getting some sales.
It's getting some traction. So
It's getting
speaking
some
of
traction.
that, like if I want to expand internationally and I have you translate my listings into German, for example, with all the right keywords, I didn't even think about how to set up PPC campaigns for keywords. That's another, wow, how do I know what keywords that I need to bid on for do you guys, when you translate a listing, do you also give like a list of top keywords in that language so people can set up their PPC campaigns?
Yeah, we don't do like any PPC. We don't do like platinum keywords or anything like broad and exact. We just do good keyword research on really highly relevant keywords, which we also put in your listing. So you can also use and put in your PPC campaigns, which are highly relevant and, it's like not too broad and something that really, really describes your product and leads people to your product exactly. So we can definitely give you a list of let's say top 20 keywords that you can also use in your PPC campaigns on top of everything else you found. So, but you definitely have to do the keyword research for that. Unfortunately, you should not just translate the keywords you have from the UK or UK marketplace, US marketplace, because those are probably not even going to be a keyword combinations in another language. So that's just going to be a perfect waste of time.
So
honestly,
the biggest reason I see people leaving Europe after they get set up in Europe on Amazon is because of PPC costs.
Right.
Because what happens is you're not just having to advertise in one country, you're having to advertise in all of them. And so the management, the overhead just gets really, really crazy. And so you're thinking okay, I've got keywords in all these different languages. I have all these different PPC campaigns in all of these different marketplaces. It's not like they show up under one Seller Central dashboard. You have to swap between them and then, check your placement, all of that. It really does require a lot of overhead work. Now, if you're expanding your team and you have the margins to do that, that's great. But if you're just wanting to dip your toe into international, you might want to just start with something like Germany. That's a larger marketplace.
I would always recommend, if you want to start with one country, start with Germany, and you can just take it from there and see how it goes. Definitely, you don't have to do all of them, because what's going to happen is that now we have 6 countries in pan-European program. We have the Netherlands and Sweden, and it's rumored that Poland and Czech Republic are going to be added to pan-European program. They were actually already, this should have been already done this year, but it's been pushed back because of COVID. So I think that's going to be rolling out probably early next year. So you're going to have 8 countries in pan-European program. So that's going to be, very interesting. And I mean, it's going to be very interesting for someone who can afford to run, PPC campaigns. And as I say, whenever you want to go and expand, if you really think of expanding to multiple countries, have a business plan and think it through. Don't go I'm just going to try this out, because you're probably not going to, be happy with the results, and that's not going to be what you expected, definitely.
Yeah, take it one step at a time. So we had a question here. Agnes wants to know, she said, "Hi, Amy, do you think that the US market is saturated?" And she said, "I was planning to explore other markets, but I'm scared to do the listings." So your first question, Agnes, I don't think that the US market is saturated. I think for certain products, any market can be saturated. So the thing is, you want to make sure that whatever product choice is king. Right? You want to make sure that you are looking at your product choice in any market that you're considering. So, there might be certain products that aren't good for other markets, that people don't, that could be a hot product in the US, but in other markets, it's just not as good. So I would always suggest, and I'm going to let Jana give her recommendations as well, because she's got way more experience than me internationally. But I would always recommend that you do that same research process when you're considering other countries to sell in, because you want to go and search in that country and see, okay, what does my competition look like? How, how does everything look? And I know people that are used to only using software to do this kind of get stuck because they're like, well, my software doesn't show me that yet. Just go on amazon.co.uk and search, go to amazon.de and search. So, just take a look at it and see what other products that you can find. First of all, just like you would when you're researching products for Amazon US. So that's my suggestion for you. In any channel, I know I was talking about this yesterday, like home goods on Amazon is a perfect example. Americans don't generally buy home goods on Amazon. We don't buy home decor on Amazon. We buy it on Wayfair. And so that's, we sometimes buy it on Amazon, but we go to Wayfair because they offer free shipping for larger home goods like chairs and beds. And, so while you're there, you buy your lamp and your vase, it's just, that's how, and they do all their advertising to us for that kind of stuff. So a lot of people, they'll like launch on Amazon US, their home decor product. That's a really super trending home decor product. And they'll end up competing with the factories or Amazon themselves, who has a lot of home decor products on their marketplace. And it's super low price. But if you search that same thing on Wayfair, it's way higher priced and it's a much better market for you. So it works the same way expanding internationally. If your product is saturated on Amazon and you're in a price war, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't sell that product in a retail store, or you can't sell that product on another online channel, or a lot of people are flocking to Etsy right now and killing it on Etsy. So there's a ton of different things you can do. Just take the time to research and know your market. What do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This is what I always tell, sellers, like you don't have to hire this fancy software. You don't even have to, tell your VA to do this, but you can just go to amazon.fr and see how many competitors you have for your product. Maybe you don't have that many as you thought. And a lot of people don't even know this. Like I bet that like 80% of US sellers have never done that, or actually, search for a product on international marketplace and, found out that they don't have that many competitors. Like, for instance, like what's very interesting, like the UAE, for instance, the Arabic Amazon is fantastic. Like category to sell in is home decor, actually. Because, for instance, a lot of expats live in Dubai and UAE all over, and they change apartments. They come and go. They move a lot, right? And in Dubai, for instance, it's usually it's common to just rent an empty apartment with no furniture or anything. And Dubai is quite expensive, and people love a good price and love a good bargain when they see one. So when you check like home decor, which is a highly popular category because of all the expats, like you would see that you have maybe 500 products, which is ridiculous. When you compare it to US, where you have like 10,000 of products, on the UAE, you have like 500 of those. So if you're ready to kind of lower your price a little bit, I'm sure you can like score it big in, for instance, UAE, because people look for the home decor. And the best thing is like you really don't have to translate your listings to Arabic, because your target audience would be expats who would search for those products in English. So you would not even have to translate that. So that's just kind of food for thought, for UAE, for instance, home decor. But this is like this is a case with a lot of different marketplaces that you don't know if the category where you're selling your product in is going to be success or major fail. But it's like 30 minutes of your time to go over 2-3 biggest marketplaces and check that for yourself. And also PPC, rates. Of course, they could be lower, they could be insanely high. But what if they're super low for your product and you don't know about that, right? So it's all worth checking by yourself with no paying software or anybody else. 30 minutes.
And you can search on any of the marketplaces in English, and you will get, so it's, of course, when you go to sell that product in France, you want to make sure that that you have a professional translate your listings properly, so you have the right keywords in there. but just searching for, you know, whatever it is, your lamp in that other marketplace, you can just type in lamp and it'll, you know, it'll show you those relevant search results. So, you know, it's, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I don't speak French. I can't search for that. Just like you said, you know. And then what about any other considerations besides like, hey, be careful, PPC costs, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. Don't expand to all the marketplaces at once. Do you have any other tips for knowing whether your product is right for that marketplace? Are there any tools to know search volume for various marketplaces or international?
You know what, like a lot of people ask me that, and we don't do any product research, but what I would personally do and what I would recommend is quite similar to that, you know, go on a marketplace and then check your product. I would, because this is a question that I get asked often about Japan, because Japan is a very, very specific marketplace. And then what I would do, and what people seem to be doing, and it's working, and it totally makes sense, is like, you can go to like Facebook groups with like expats, and you can ask them like, hey, listen, would you like this product? Would you buy it? You can hear like Vox Populi, right, of that country, what they think about your product, if they think it's a good fit or not. Like we had the situation with like 2 t-shirts being sold on the German marketplace. And the client asked us like, so, and it says like Mr. and Mrs. or something even stupider than that. It was just like just a really poor product, right? And he was like, this is not selling on German marketplace. And why is that? So we checked his listing, we checked his keywords, everything, pictures, it was all good. But all of my translators, 7 of them from our German team, they said, this is not a product for the German marketplace. I would never buy this. This is just not something that Germans would buy. And I told him this at the end. I'm like, listen, you have a wrong product. It's a wrong audience for your product. And that's why you're failing. And that's it. That's the you know, best answer I could give you. So, you know, if you're not sure if this is going to work well or not, go and ask. Like, I mean, there's so many different forums, there's so many different Facebook groups, and that's for free. You don't have to pay for that. And if they say, you know, if 10 people say like, no, this is just horrible, then you know the answer, and it doesn't cost anything. And I think that is the best product research that you will get, definitely.
Yeah, that's a really great, I mean, it's the same way when you're validating your product ideas.
Exactly.
You can ask people what they think, right? And so it's a great, I hadn't even thought about Facebook groups for expats, or, you know, there's so many Facebook groups of like Americans living in Thailand, or
exactly.
You know, there's a million different groups. So, you know, it's really, and the other thing you can do, so that guy had a t-shirt or an apron or whatever it was, right? But he could go, before expanding and having you translate his listing, a t-shirt is easy to change the design on. He could go and study that market a little bit and see
exactly
what is popular, what is selling well in Germany. And then I think the other problem is, you know, the only way, there's not really great product research software for the other marketplaces yet either. But you can still check BSR. You can check the best sellers ranking in each category. And it can give you an idea of, okay, this one's really selling well or not. All you have to do is scroll down into the information for that product and take a look for it. And Cam says, I wonder if Google Trends and analytics works in other languages. We'll have to try. Yes, you can. That's a great tip. You can absolutely. And it's like, this is where Andy would be like shining right now, because he always gives us all those tricks for SEO, whether it's US or not. But that's the other thing, is remember things like Google Trends, you can filter by country. Things like Pinterest, you can look at, you know, different ones. You could use a VPN and your internet will switch up to that country, right? So you can definitely just Google and see what people are doing, what's selling, the same thing that you do in the US. So we learned that people are flocking to other marketplaces, that these other marketplaces don't have the same restrictions on inventory send in, except, so if you guys have a bunch of extra inventory, that's a consideration. I know a lot of people had orders in and then they found out that they could only send 200 in, and lately it's gotten even worse. So what an opportunity if you study your marketplaces and you decide that you want to, expand, you could send some of that inventory overseas. What other marketplaces besides Europe? We talked about United Arab Emirates. We talked about, I think, Australia a little bit, right? Which is growing day after day after day. What other marketplaces should people consider?
A lot of US sellers, I just want to add about Google Trends because there are no tools for some of the, certain marketplaces. So we like to exactly go to Google Analytics and go to Keyword Planner. And this is also what you can, find out the keywords and everything. It's going to be like with the Swedish language, like Sweden as a country. And when they later enroll, like Helium 10, for instance, when they finally added the research for the Netherlands, the keywords were fine. They were basically what we found on Keyword Planner. So, I mean, it's not the best, but this is actually what people search on Google and eventually would search for on Amazon. So exactly, this is something that you can also do for your business. And I absolutely agree. It's a really good idea. The BSR and Google Brands and Analytics, definitely, those are your friends for sure. I just wanted to say, the Mexico, like I would like to talk about that. Mexico is something that a lot of US sellers, they want to go to, especially because there's like an option that your A+ content can be like on Spanish. You have the choice to switch between English and Spanish. So that's good, but you really want to get it translated and not to use Spanish you're using in Europe, because Spanish in Mexico and Spanish in Spain, also Spanish in Cuba, Spanish in everywhere is different. So you really want to get like a Mexican specialist who will work on your listings. And also, like, as a lot of you know, like US listings, they always have some Mexican words in backend because a lot of people would search for words in Spanish and, some of the products, I mean, because of the, basically the population and everything. So Mexico is really a good choice for US sellers. And also a lot of them go to Canada as well. And a very interesting thing about Canada is that they use centimeters and not inches. And that's something that a lot of people totally forget and just completely disregard. But that's very important when having your product, because if you just leave inches, they'll probably know, but it's better to use centimeters and then put like inches in brackets. That's something that we also found out last year. But it's really, it's interesting how, it's like countries very close together and like they have different metrical systems. So.
Got it. Well, I mean, we have been just chatting it up now for almost an hour. So we always ask, what are you doing not only, normally, but in this pandemic to kind of, stay motivated? Like, are you listening to any podcasts? Are you reading any books? What are you doing?
Well, I actually started working out 4 times a week finally, and because my trainer, she literally lives next door, and I go and work out at her home, so that keeps me motivated. I would not be able to motivate myself. I need someone to just gonna slap me and be like, do it. And I'm not like you, Amy. Nobody is like you. I don't have that self-control. So basically, I'm focusing more on myself and my well-being more than usually, because now I don't have a specific social life and everything is kind of closed after 5 p.m. over here. Nothing works on weekends. So I decided this is going to be the best time that I'm going to focus on myself. And I'm also not traveling anywhere, which completely always ruins my routine. I'm taking some supplements. I'm trying to sleep better. I also decided not to use my cell phone before I go to bed, and I'm just keeping it in the living room, where our bedroom is cell phone free. And I have to say that I feel so much better. And I'm just, like, first lockdown was really hard on me. I was, like drinking, and I was not being myself. I was just gonna, it was just horrible. But now I'm kind of, okay, like, you're gonna do it this time much better, and you're gonna focus on yourself. And maximize on what this time is now giving you, and that is the time you have to dedicate to self-improvement and self-care. Now, I know it's difficult for people who have kids. I don't have kids, so I can focus on myself and on my business. My business is my baby, so that takes about 12 hours every day. But I just really, take this time to kind of, do something good for myself. And yeah, I feel good that I'm finally having time to do that. And this is how I'm trying to keep my sanity. Otherwise, I mean, of course I have like a lot of ups and downs, and I'm just like, I really miss people. I'm a really social person, and I really miss live events, and I cannot wait to see you again, and like the other guys. And but I just tend not to think about it, because they will just ruin my perfect little world, like kind of little bubble I created for myself, which I hope is going to end soon, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep the fake little bubble. But this is what I'm trying to keep myself occupied with.
I think you've given all of us a little bit of permission to do what we can to make us happy, even if, our happy place is being around others, and that's kind of limited right now. So thanks for sharing that and for that advice. I think that's it, but we need to ask for those people that are ready to expand and they need a good translation service. How can they contact you?
Well, first of all, guys, I would like you to like us on Facebook. So YLT Translations. If you like the content I had today, like we really try to keep up with all of the possible changes and trends there are on international marketplaces. We post that regularly on our page. So a lot of good content. And definitely, if you maybe already have your listings translated and you're wondering why are they underperforming, or just basically what can be done to improve your listing, you can definitely send us an email. You can reach out to me directly. My email is jana@ylt-translations.com, and we'll be happy to give you feedback or pricing or quotes, or if you have any sorts of questions, I'm more than happy to advise you on anything I can help with.
Oh, that would be great. So you guys do a listing review service too. So that's really, really awesome. Well, I hope you guys have learned something today about international listings and about listings in general and what we're all doing and about expanding and what's going on in the marketplace. And I just have to thank you, Jana, for being here. And thanks everyone for listening. We're about to hit the stop recording button, and we're going to stay on here and answer any live questions for those people who have joined us. And so everyone live on Facebook who's watching, thank you again for watching. You can always catch this and more episodes at sellerroundtable.com. We have tons of really great golden episodes. I think we have Jana's episode from the last time she was on here. So definitely go and check that out. There's tons of really great content. And we just, we appreciate your rate, your reviews, your listens, your likes, all of that stuff. And we'll stay here for some extra innings for those of you who have questions for us. And thanks again. We'll see you next time on the Seller Roundtable.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for live Q&A and bonus content after the recording at sellerroundtable.com. Sponsored by the ultimate software tool for Amazon sales and growth, sellerseo.com and amazingathome.com.